But for now, thanks all of you for joining us. My name is Jessica Fettridge. I am from the Global Learning Office. Unfortunately, my colleague Carmen couldn't join us today because she's not feeling well. But if you schedule an appointment with someone in my office, Carmen is your person for any advising related to the program. And then Elisa, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Elisa Baena. I I teach in the Spanish department. I have been teaching at Northwestern for 20 years, and I have done this program for more years than I can remember, 14 plus 2 from COVID. So since 2008, well, I think that was the first summer. So a lot of years.
All right, so we are just going to go through our PowerPoint pretty quickly and give a very general overview of the program. And then we have some students from this past summer joining us at the end, and they are an excellent resource to answer all of your student-specific questions. So, that, um, I guess there should be an overview slide here. So I'll just say this is the program. It is 6 weeks in Barcelona. You will take 3 classes, and we'll get into what those are in a moment. But in order to apply for the program, you need a GPA of at least 2.5. You need 1 year of college level Spanish, and this has to be demonstrated either by coursework at Northwestern or a placement exam. And preference will be given to students who've completed Spanish courses at Northwestern. This does tend to be a competitive program historically. So if you haven't taken any Spanish at Northwestern, we encourage you to register for a class either winter or spring to make your application more competitive. You'll also have to write a short personal statement about your goals and reasons for wanting to participate in the program. You'll do a short video response where you answer some questions to help us learn a little bit more about you. You will need a sign off from your school advisor, upload a transcript, and then you will need a valid passport or proof that you have submitted your submitted an application to apply for a passport at the time of the GLOW application. So if you do not have a passport or your current passport is expiring within the next year, you should submit your passport application as soon as possible. Thanksgiving break is an excellent time to do that. Just because passport processing times can take a little while, so we don't want you to get stuck without one before you go. All right, Elisa.
So I'll take it from here. Yeah, this is a picture of one of the buildings inside of the Universitat Pompeu Fabra. That's where all the classes are gonna take place. I teach one of the culture classes, and then all the other classes are taught by UPF professors that teach Spanish all year round. Um, we're gonna see in detail now what the classes are depending on your level. So as Jessica said, there's 3 classes that you would take. There's a conversation, a culture, and a grammar class. And those numbers that you see on the screen are the Northwestern numbers because they are Northwestern classes. Therefore, the grade goes into your transcript. But it doesn't matter what level of Spanish you are in. You can have just barely finished 101.3, 115.2, and then you can come, or you can be a heritage speaker and you can come, because then there we have different levels for grammar, like 3 or 4, and 3 conversation levels, and there's the 2 culture classes, and I teach the one that is 215. So the curriculum is set. You cannot choose any other classes, and you register in Caesar. I mean, you will be registered in Caesar. Depending on your level of Spanish, this is what your schedule can look like, Northwestern-wise, because they don't use those numbers or names. So if you have done only 1 year of Spanish or 2, you can take the 190, 199, and 191. And if you have done 201 or above, then you would be, for grammar, you would take either 301 or 302. culture 215, the one I teach, and then conversation would be 202. So if you're thinking about doing Spanish minor or major, all those three courses count. For the minor, for example, you need 5 200s, so those are two, and then you need 3 300s, and one would be the grammar class. And if you have done only 1 year of Spanish and you met that list of requirements, like you receive an A in all your classes in Barcelona, you miss only one class or follow their policy for absences. If you go to all the cultural visits and improve the post-placement that we do at the end of the program during the last week and do an interview with me, then you can take directly 125 in the fall after. I have 3 students now that were in Barcelona last summer after taking 101 only or 115, and now they're taking 125 and it's fine. They're ready. So it's working for them. And it's a very nice, you skip 2 classes, and so you don't have to take 121, 1 or 2 or 3, but you just take 125 and complete the requirement.
One thing really quickly about completing the language requirement for Weinberg is if you have already started the 121 sequence, this does not apply to you. You should just finish the 121 sequence on
This
campus.
is just for 101 or 115 students. So that is, we have 2 pictures there of the building where we live that is called Resa Campus del Mar. It's very, very close to the beach. And from the university, it's just a 10-minute walk. And it's very nice because of its location. It's not the most modern building, but it works very well because you can go to the beach in 2 minutes, closer than class.
Sorry, there's a question in the chat. So the question is, if I'm a Spanish minor and only require 300 level classes to complete the minor, will only the grammar course count towards the requirement? And the answer is yes.
So these are, we have most of the rooms are single rooms, and that's how they look like. And you will have a kitchenette, a bed with sheets and towels that they change weekly. They clean the room too, and some small kitchen and cooking and whatever dishes and stuff to eat. So you can cook in your room. There's a bathroom also in the room and a desk to study. It's not very big, but it's enough. And the kids
There's a
love
note
it.
there. So most rooms are singles. We have to have 4 rooms that are doubles, just because they don't have enough singles. So 8 students will end up doubling up. We have an extensive housing form where you can indicate preferences, but we can't guarantee that you'll get a single.
But if you have a friend going with you, that's great because you can room together. And also there's like the Northwestern hallway. And also I live there. So it kind of sucks for you guys, but it's okay. It's okay. It's never been a problem. We're all there and it's all Northwestern students. So it's kind of fun also to live there instead of being all spread out throughout the dorm. So the neighborhood where the dorm is called Barceloneta. And like I said before, it's very close to the water. So that's very good. And those 2 towers there are a reference point if you get lost in the city. And on the left side, you have a picture of the Born neighborhood. That is the best neighborhood in Barcelona. Very, very cool. That picture is kind of old, but also Poblenou is where the university is more or less. And it's very cool neighborhood full of design and very, 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 very up-and-coming neighborhood full of design and cafes and markets and very cool buildings. Is changing a lot. When we are not in class, we will go to see all of those visits and more every Wednesday. I think this year we'll go back to Wednesday trips. So every week we'll go somewhere. There is a cooking class also that we'll do at the beginning of the program. But if you've never been, I'm sure you know Barcelona has a lot of architecture and museums. We'll go to the Sagrada Familia, to the Casa Batlló, to the Museum of Art, Miró, also TBD, but probably yes. And we'll go to the Montjuic Mountain where the Miró and the MNAC museums are. But there's a lot of art, as I'm sure you all know, in Barcelona. So even though we go to a few places, you have to do lots of other visits on your own because there is a lot to see in Barcelona. There's a lot of art. One day in July, we will skip class and we'll take a day trip to Montserrat. Everybody will take the train to then a cable car or another train if you're afraid of heights. We had to do that last summer for the first time. And then we'll go to that monastery. And then from the monastery, the picture is taken from another, it's not a cable car, it's like a little funicular that will take up the mountain, and the views are amazing. So that will be a whole day trip. It's longer than being in class, but it's much better than being in class. The weekend in Madrid, July 5th to 7th, I think, we'll take the high-speed train and stay in that Hotel Yaveni. And it's very nice to do that for a weekend. And we'll all stay together. We'll have dinner the Friday at the hotel. And that picture is not the hotel, but it's, I love that building. We will stay in very close to Gran Via, and it's the center of the city. And probably I forgot, but I think this year is also Pride weekend when we are there, which is a madness. And the returnees can tell you how it was last year, because I didn't leave the hotel after we went to the museums. So I was hiding from it, but it's a super party for young people. So the students love it that when it's at the same time. And I think this summer is going to be again, well, when we are there. And of course, because we love museums and art, when we are in Madrid, we will go on Saturday morning to the Prado Museum. We'll see the Meninas, and then we'll go to Reina Sofia after, and we'll see Guernica. And then the picture in the middle of that slide is the Picasso interpretation of Las Meninas by Velázquez, and we'll see that when we go to the Picasso Museum in Barcelona. And what else? Okay, now that's for you, Jessica, I think.
Yes. So, in order to apply, sorry, that was a really quick rundown, and we'll have some time for questions before the students can join us. Most of them are hopping on at 5 o'clock. But if you are interested in applying for the program, the deadline to apply is February 1st. That is a hard deadline. There will be no extensions given. So get your application in before then. Admission's not rolling, so there's no benefit to applying early other than having it done well in advance of the deadline. The program dates are June 16th to July 27th, so it's about 6 weeks. And if you are interested, again, please make sure you have a valid passport and complete the application by the first. The QR code there is just going to take you to the program brochure on our website, and that's where you can access the application. So I'll leave this up for a little bit, but does anyone have any questions while we wait for the students to join us? You can either unmute or put it in the chat.
Don't be shy, this is the time. Or maybe they're waiting for the students.
Which is fine.
They know the full answers. We just know the boring details, but
I know, right?
so this year the dates are different. The students always arrive on a Saturday and finish on a Friday, but because of the university schedule, we had to make some changes. So this year everybody will arrive on a Monday, which is going to be very weird. And I'm going to be saying like, oh, this is so weird. So if you go, you'll hear me say that, oh, this is so weird, because in the past, right, everything was so many years of doing it one way, and now it's different. But you should know also the 24th of June, there's no class because it's San Juan Festival. It's a crazy party night. And then the next day, there's no class. So we will have the placement exam on the 18th of June. That is a Wednesday. And then we start classes on Thursday. So there's no classes on Friday. I don't know if we said that, but.
No, I was going to mention what the class schedule is Monday to Thursday. You start at 10 and end at 4:30, is that right? With 2 breaks in between. So it's a long day and it's a lot of class time, but you also have a lot of free time, and the students can speak about that when they join us. But you end class at 4:30, but that's basically like morning time in Spain because everything happens there so late in the evening. You eat meals very late, you go out very late, everything is late. So you have time to go home, take a nap, do your homework, and still have a full night of fun ahead of you, or plenty of time to explore outside of class as well.
Mhm. Right. Okay, questions. Wow, we finished before the returnees came
I
in.
know. Does
What else
everybody
should we
have
talk
a
about?
passport?
Cooking,
Oh,
cooking. Yeah.
one thing I will plug is we have a passport initiative going on right now. You can find information about it on our website. But if you do not have a passport and you are looking for funding, you can apply through our office to for basically a scholarship toward your passport. We'll help you apply, we'll help you get a picture, take you to the post office to submit the application. So I encourage you all to apply for that if needed. The deadline to apply for the passport initiative is November 22nd. And I will try to find a link for it in a minute. There's no questions? Come on, guys. Oops. What else can we tell you? Are there any questions about the application process?
Are you taking Spanish now?
Oh.
No.
I have a question.
Oh
Yay.
my,
Yeah, is there any merit or kind of advantage to submitting an application early rather than waiting for the deadline?
No. I mean, for your own peace of mind, I recommend doing it. As you know, winter quarter can be kind of crazy. So the sooner you get it in, the less you have to worry about it. But no, we don't review any applications until after the deadline. So we look at the whole pool of applicants at once.
it would be great for you not to have to worry about that.
Agreed. And I'll be honest, everything in the application is up to you, right? So like you can complete everything on your own timeline except for your school advisor approval. And spoiler, all the advisors book up almost immediately after winter break to talk to students about studying abroad, and it's right around the time of major declaration for sophomores. So I would not wait to have those discussions with your school advisor until like I would try to do those before winter break if you can. If not, at least schedule the appointment for early in January when you get back. That seems to be the most difficult thing that students encounter just because calendars fill up with other requests. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I mean, just submit it and get it off your plate. I will say, it is better for us if you submit your application after you've received your I'm sorry, fall quarter grades. So, because you have to upload an unofficial transcript. So just wait until your grades post for winter in the middle of December and then request your unofficial transcript so we can see a record of your courses and your grades for the fall. Okay, another question in the chat. When do you hear back from the application process if you're accepted for the program? So the deadline is February 1st. We usually review applications pretty soon thereafter, usually sometime that first week of February, and hope to get out decisions no later than February 15th, but it will likely be before then. And there is a wait list. Usually, I mean, it all depends year to year, right? We have 30 spots on the program. Historically, we've had more than 30 applicants. So historically, we have had a wait list for the program. it varies wildly year to year whether or not we let students in off the wait list. I think we let in quite a lot last year, but a couple of
Every
years
year.
before that, there was like nobody. So it really depends on a lot of things. I will say that if you are thinking of applying and you end up applying, this should be your first choice for a summer experience. It can't be like a fifth backup in case you get an internship or some other kind of research thing or you're doing something else. This is it's a serious program and it's a competitive program. And so if you apply and you take a spot from somebody else and then ultimately withdraw for something else, it's just not fair to the other students that are applying. So please be serious if you submit your application. It's a really fun program. You'll hear from the students. Hopefully they all pop on soon. Um, but it's a good time.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done
And
it
you learn a
so
lot of
many years.
Spanish. Yeah,
It was boring. Yeah.
you do. They'll tell you. The students always rave about the classes. They're really different than Spanish classes here at Northwestern, in a good way. Oh, look, here's Sophie. She can talk to us. Okay.
So is the program
Um,
the same cost as tuition for other quarters?
It is not. I'm still working on the program cost for this summer, but I believe the cost for summer 24 for last summer is on the program brochure. So you can take a look at that and it will be very, very similar for this summer. It's quite a bit less expensive. And you get 3 courses, right? So it's almost a full quarter's worth of credit for easily half of what
And
you,
you will be in Barcelona after all.
and you'll be in Barcelona. Yeah.
Very close to very cool places.
All right, Sophie, I see that you joined us. We've just been talking nonsense with them for like 10 minutes. Do you want to introduce yourself um and chat a little bit about the program? There's Liam and who else joined?
Lauren.
Lauren
Lauren.
as well, but you're the
Okay,
first one here.
awesome. Yeah, I'm Sophie. I am a sophomore studying biology, and I did the Barcelona program last summer. And it was an amazing, amazing program, and I enjoyed it so much. So, if there are any questions, I can answer them. Yeah.
They're very shy.
What do you want them to know about the program?
Yeah, I was actually asked this today by my Weinberg advisor, so I have a little bit of preparation for this, but just want to say that it was a really great decision, especially for my Spanish minor. So academically, um, it helped me a lot to be able to help get more of those classes in. And then I think from like a more social perspective, I was able to meet so many new people from kind of all the grades. I know freshman year was slightly more isolating from people who were older than me, like upperclassmen, but I got to meet a lot of upperclassmen um, who have been just amazing, and we've all kept in contact. And I don't know, I will say like the classes are not like the most difficult things. Like you learn a lot in like a much less stressful environment than when you're here and you get to explore the city a lot. You get a lot of independence. And another big thing that I think is important to know is that you can travel on the weekends, which is I took full advantage of that, and that was one of my favorite parts as well.
Where did you travel, Sophie?
Yes, sorry, I completely forgot to mention that. So we did the Madrid trip as a program, and then individually I went to London for a weekend, and then another weekend I went to Nice and Monaco. So we just flew into Nice, and then the next day went to Monaco, took the train back to Nice and then flew back. So it was very, very easy. I mean, Ryanair is extremely cheap. You can just go with like a backpack and, just explore wherever you want to. Everything is a very quick flight around. So, yeah. I know some people went to Portugal, I know somebody went to Portugal and then did like for a weekend stops along Portugal all the way down through South Spain, all the way back up to Barcelona, which was a really fun program. And then I know some people in previous years went to Ibiza. I don't think anyone this year went to Ibiza.
Yeah, but you were not crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. People were thinking of doing like a no hotel kind of 24-hour thing, and I don't think any of us were willing to do that. So I know some people did Portugal, some people did Italy, so like people did Rome for a weekend, which was really fantastic as well. And I think that's all the trips that I can think of. But honestly, the possibilities are endless here within, you have kind of so much at your fingertips there. Yeah.
What did you do for food?
For food, yes. So I loved going out to eat, but I bought like a lot of groceries in the beginning that kind of lasted me pretty much half the time. So I did like two big grocery runs. So I made breakfast myself. So made breakfast. I had some like yogurt or some like cereal. So that was pretty easy. And then for lunch, I ate in the cafeteria at UPF. So the food was like pretty decent. I will say the better cafeteria closed for the summer. So we went to like neighborhood little spots. Like we found a place with fried rice and like udon for like a lot of fried rice and udon for like maybe 6 euros. It was amazing. It was like right across the street from the building as well. So we went there for lunch usually, and then for dinner, I know some people would like use Glovo, which is like DoorDash or Uber Eats, and would get food like that. And then some people I would like to go out into the city to find places to eat. Somebody cooked. I know in the like doubles where you have like more space, you have a bigger kitchen to work with. I had a single, so I made like burgers once or twice, but that was kind of it. But you can also like chef it up if you want. You can make pasta. Um, the grocery store is super close and it's open pretty late, like 8 p.m. So yeah.
Question in the chat, was it hard for you to understand people speaking Spanish at first?
Um, I I did not have that experience. I feel like I had a pretty solid understanding, but from the people that I've talked to, who maybe this was their first time in like a fully Spanish speaking country, or maybe this was their first time like really being exposed to fluency in Spanish, it was initially like a little bit of a shock. But I think after a few days, you kind of understand that you have this network of Northwestern students to fall back on if you need to, speak English or like, I don't know, take a little brain break. Because I know it can be a lot to speak in a completely different language, especially if you're not used to that at home or in any areas that you're with. So I did not, one second, sorry. Sorry, I was sitting in a room and I think there are office hours in here, so I might have to leave to another room in 1 second. But um, it was not as big of a shock as I expected it to be. I think it was a really good gradual transition. Um, sorry, I will be right back.
All right, well, while she's moving, I dropped two links in the chat. One is the program brochure for the program. So you can just, it's essentially a lot of what we talked about here. And then if you scroll to the bottom, there's a cost estimate from last summer. So you can see a rough estimate of what the cost will be for this summer. I don't anticipate it changing very much at all. So you can see that. And then I also put in a link for the passport initiative if any of you are interested in exploring that, if you need a new passport. And then when Sophie joins us again, I'm going to ask her what her level of Spanish was before she came. You're muted.
She took 204 and
Okay.
maybe 261 after.
Okay.
But so yeah, she was like minor
Okay.
credits. He was taking minor classes.
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, thank God they were all in Spanish because I don't speak Catalan.
Mhm.
From Spain, but
Well,
I'm not from Barcelona, so
yeah, she can answer when she gets back. Yeah, the classes are all in Spanish. There's some Catalan out, obviously, when you're out and about in the city and in restaurants and all of that. But she can confirm, but it tends to be that people want to speak more English to you than anything. Hi. Oh, you made it. Thanks.
Yeah, I made it. So sorry. Apparently there is not many empty classrooms in tech at this time. So, but yeah, no, I had just taken 204 right before the winter quarter before I left. And so I feel like mostly people had they kind of noticed the accent, so people mostly tried to speak Spanish, tried to speak English with me. But I felt like as I went along, it was like less people trying to speak English with me and more people trying to help me learn Spanish because I think they started to understand that I could kind of, gather what was going on and respond back.
And then did you have any issues with Catalan anywhere?
Honestly, no. I feel like I did hear it around, but I did not have any issues with that. I know in my conversation class, my professor taught us like how to say hello and goodbye in Catalan, but I never really got to practice that actually.
Other questions? Liam says he's running a few minutes late, but we'll have another perspective in a little bit. What was your favorite excursion that you guys did as a class?
That's a really good question. I feel like Madrid was really great as a class. But more locally, we went to a chocolate like making museum, and like a chocolate making class almost, which was really fun. You got to make your own chocolates. You got to like they were already tempered, so you just designed it all. That was really, really fun because you got to learn from like the actual like how to make chocolate from the actual like pod to the end result. So that was really fun. But I will say all the excursions were they were really fun, even the ones with the school and the ones with Northwestern. So we went on specific ones with like UPF. I think the chocolate one was a UPF
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then we went on the Northwestern ones as well, which were really fun. I remember the day we went to oh my gosh, I'm actually blanking on the name. But the Art Museum of Catalonian Art Museum.
Mhm.
And we went to the Miro Museum as well, and then we took the
Montjuic.
funicular
Mhm.
to the Montjuic, which was that was really fun. And I'm a little afraid of heights, so it was definitely an adjustment. But that one I think sticks out to me as a really fun day because it was like
With
a jam-packed day. It was really fun.
with lots of cafeteria food.
Yeah, lots of cafeteria food, but not bad cafeteria food. I will say there's a different
Right,
connotation to
right.
cafeteria food when you're in
Yeah, yeah.
Spain.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Liam just joined. Liam, do you want to introduce yourself? So Sophie's been talking about classes and food and excursions. So introduce yourself and then tell them everything you want them to know about the program.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name's Liam. I was on the abroad with Sophie. It was a great freaking time. No, I mean, if you can do the program, absolutely do it. Apply. If you get in, go. If you can fit it in with your schedule, I mean, this was unquestionably the most valuable experience I've had at Northwestern. I'm a senior, and I did other stuff on other summers, working jobs like camp counselor or internships or whatever. Yeah, I mean, for so many reasons, both like more just sort of like the surface level, like fun reasons. The clubs were amazing. I had so much fun dancing and living the Spanish lifestyle. And the people were just so cool, so welcoming. And then kind of on the academic side of things, my Spanish improved so much. And it really motivated me to keep doing it. So I've been practicing every day since I got back. And it really sets you up well to pursue that. And then on kind of like the deeper level of sort of your self-exploration, being abroad, and even though you're within the cohort of Northwestern, you definitely just the experience of being in a totally new place of the world, even if you've been to Spain before, really prompts a lot of individual reflection. And I totally changed up my career plans for the better. I came into that summer thinking I wanted to go into education, and left thinking more along the lines of psychology, which I'm way more excited about. Actually, in part, Sophie, she encouraged me to start considering that. But yeah, I mean, I left the program way more excited about the things I wanted to pursue after graduation, left with so many good friendships, still keep in touch with a lot of people. And yeah, I mean, ask any questions you want. It was amazing. That's how I'd describe it.
I think one more thing I'd like to add, Liam, you said it very eloquently. I feel like I was um a little bit less eloquent in my introduction, but I would like to say that I think anyone you ask will say a very similar experience throughout all the years of the program over the summer. Um, I mean, just the friendships that you make, the experiences that you have, they're all so fantastic. And I know I'm personally gonna remember it very fondly. Um, I still bring it up a lot to this day, and we're like, what, like 6 months out? Like my friends will sometimes be like, Sophie, like we get it, you studied abroad. But it was a great experience. So ask all the questions you ha can, or that you have, and we're all here for you. And if I know that Zoom is um, sometimes a more isolating platform. So if you guys have any other questions that Liam or I can answer, I know for me personally, you can email me or anything along those lines.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sophie. I'll put my email in the chat. I'll put my phone number in there too, because I'm a lot better at responding to text and email.
Liam, what level of Spanish were you when you applied or like before you went?
I had just finished the 121 sequence, but my level and confidence was a lot lower than that because basically my Spanish trajectory at Northwestern was my sophomore year. I started the 121 sequence, took 121-1, and then in that winter, I did a Medill program in San Francisco. And because of the structure of the sequence, I had to wait a whole year until winter of my junior year to like start 121-2, if that makes sense. So I definitely would say I wasn't as confident as probably the average 121 student was going into it. But I'm sure you guys have touched on it, but the program is very, very adaptable. There were people who were essentially fluent. My friend Mervin, who I'm seeing later today, essentially spoke no Spanish, and he improved a lot and got a lot better. So I would definitely not let that be something that deters you, because I was definitely nervous about that, but it's really not an issue.
Yeah, last year we had a lot of students that had only taken 1 year of Spanish. We had more than ever. And that was very good. I don't think there was any different comparing to other years. I now
Yeah,
there's
after talking to people, I feel like many people did not have an issue and almost enjoy that they were really thrown into this new atmosphere that they uptook it really fast.
And I have, like I said before, I have three. I have Kemari, Jonah, and Maria in 125, and they are all fine. They are not like behind or anything. So no questions.
Mhm. Anything else you guys want them to know?
Um, I think it'd be helpful to know what you guys have talked about so far. Sorry, I was in class. Um, I know Jessica knows that, but I that's why I wasn't here for the first part.
Yeah, I mean, we did just like a super brief overview. Here's the dates. You go to Madrid. Here's some excursions. Here are the classes that you take. And then we were lobbing questions at Sophie about like, how did you feed yourself? Like, what do you do for food, right? Did you cook? Did you go out? Did you do a combo? She was saying her favorite excursions when you hopped on. So
Cool. Um, let's see. Have you talked at all about just sort of like daily life living in Spain, kind of what that was like? Okay, cool. I can talk about that. Um, it was a really nice change of pace because everything was just less stressful. Um, I mean, obviously, inherently being a summer program, taking classes in the summer just has a different feel to the, usual quarters, but also just being in Spain. I didn't actually even fully realize it until I left. There was one weekend where Sophie and I and some other people went to London, and when we landed, I realized in comparison how sort of stressed out London was in kind of a more Western way, similar to the United States. Everyone was on their phone, walking really fast, and just like I was like, dang, I don't want to live like this. So yeah, everything is pretty, I guess the stereotypes are true in the sense of everything being a little more relaxed. Um, Everyone's very, very friendly. I'm sure Sophie mentioned like food wise, it was insanely cheap. So
I
financial.
didn't, but thank you for pointing that out. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was planning on, having a strict budget and making all my meals myself, but it was essentially if not exactly the same, pretty much the same price to eat out most nights. So that's what I ended up doing. And you could still get really healthy, tasty food doing that. But yeah, I mean, the main things I'd say are people are very friendly. Barceloneta, where you live, is generally pretty safe. You definitely gotta keep your guard up. But it's kind of just like common sense, really is the deal there. Yeah. And I can't emphasize enough just like how fun it was, because there are definitely the parts that are extremely valuable of the self-growth and the friendships, but just like we're literally the dorms are 2 minutes away from the beach. And the like if you like dancing, then that's, I mean, like the capital of the world for that. There are so many fun day trips you can do to different beaches and cities around. Yeah, I mean it's a great time to do this while you're in college because I know a gap year is kind of a common thing people do after college to travel, but having the infrastructure doing it within Northwestern is just so much easier because you have what I appreciated was there's a really, really nice balance between the program offering you structure so you weren't just like sort of floating around in Spain, not really knowing what you were doing, but also a ton of freedom. So I visited France, Monaco, Madrid, obviously, and London, and then did some other day trips. And it was like super, it fit well within the confines of the program. I didn't fall behind in the classes or feel like I missed out on any of the stuff going on in Barcelona.
I want to say one more thing. So sorry. You mentioned like the day trips around, and I just want to say that the train system is so incredibly accommodating for your schedule and is really, really easy to use. Um, I think the first weekend we got there, it was a little bit more unstructured. So we took our entrance exam. Oh, there's like a very low stakes entrance exam that you take at the beginning and at the end, just to help you get placed, but really no stress at all. You don't have to study for it. It took maybe like an hour, hour and a half. And then right after that, a few of us had made plans. In the group chat being like, hey, if anybody wants to go to Sitges on like Monday after the exam, like let me know. And Sitges is like a little coastal town about hour and a half on the train south of Barcelona on the coast. That is a really fun, vibrant beach city. And I remember thinking, wow, it's going to be like five people. Nobody's going to go. I think literally everybody except for maybe two people showed up to this little day trip. And it was one of the most fun evenings. I mean, the train ride there, you got to know everybody. When you get there, the beach was fantastic. I mean, I really utilized that 2 minute walk from the beach thing. I went day, night. It was amazing. And so being able to have those little trips were also really cool. I think we have Girona around all of Costa Brava. Last year we found like a Costa Brava hiking trip that you could go on that unfortunately none of us were able to make it because we went to London that weekend. I think that was that weekend, but there's so many opportunities all around for travel. And then also you mentioned like the daily life. I just want to say like living accommodations were amazing. Not everywhere in Spain has AC, far from it actually, but the room's dead. I had a single. It was amazing to be able to have that, independent lifestyle of you can go out with friends and you can be surrounded by all of this social activity, but sometimes it gets to be a lot. So you can go back to your room, you can cook for yourself, you can clean, you know, I mean, cleaning helps me relax, but that may be just me. But it's it's a really great living arrangement because you're in this complex. I don't know, did you touch on Ressa at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
We
yeah,
saw them
it's a
pictures.
really
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really great living complex. I mean, we held like a little 4th of July party, like in the like main area. It got a little rowdy. It was really fun. Um,
Group
yeah, I mean, it's just
rivalries with other programs. That was fun.
yes, there was a program. There was a high school program there, and the program manager got really upset at us because we were blasting "Party in the USA" a little too loud. Um, but we handled that. It was no issue. But it's just a really great living arrangement. It's just really fun. You get to travel, you get to cook, and the academics are not very overwhelming. I will say one thing that I think I would have liked to know is the dorms are not directly on the campus of UPF. It's about a 15-minute walk, so um, it will get a little hot outside. You will get a little sweaty on your walk to class. And that's the only part where I was like, oh, okay, this is new to learn. But I feel like it was just really beautifully designed and I loved my experience on the campus there. And then last thing, sorry, I know I've been talking for a minute, but about safety, as long as I've never felt really, really unsafe at all. Through Nice and Monaco, through Barcelona, through Madrid, through London, any of the trips. I stayed in larger groups of people just to make sure, but I also took days where once I started to like realize that I kind of knew the city, I walked around by myself. I was able to take public transport by myself. So as long as you are vigilant, as you are in any big city, I feel like safety was a big concern for me going into the program, but it was not a humongous concern for me in the program.
Yeah, and
And
I
then
just saw a
yeah.
question right before that. One more thing is if you're lucky, I don't know if this will happen in future years, but if you're lucky, you'll get to meet Elisa's nephew, Danielle. And that was definitely a highlight of the program.
He
He's
loves you so much. He always asks me, who do you see? I saw some kids in yoga and he wanted to know about Mervin. I said, well, he's not taking my class. I don't know, but please say Mervin. You said you're seeing him later. That Danielle wants to know how he's doing.
yeah, Danielle's great. He's a very talkative guy. And great way to know like Spanish culture because like it's all Northwestern kids. So he and I spent many hours chatting about different things.
He,
But
he came to class, he taught us a few things that happened while we were in the States, and yeah.
Yeah. It was
yeah,
great to meet him, honestly. It was great to have that involvement. And on that note, I feel like you can really go out and like people in Spain are very friendly. You can be around Northwestern people, but you can also meet new people, our age, older, younger. Like you can meet everybody around. Everyone's very sweet, and very willing to talk to you. Because once they realize you're there on like a study abroad, they're like, oh, they're not some tourists. Like they
Mhm.
are here to actually learn. And I also saw a question in the chat about packing.
Yeah.
So this was a big concern for me because I have a lot of things and I'm very high maintenance in terms of how much I pack. And I even think I overpacked. So I brought one check-in big suitcase and one small carry-on suitcase. And then I outfits, it gets really hot. So I definitely packed bathing suits. I packed skirts, dresses. I wore dresses a lot. So you want more like fancier clothing for if you want to, check out clubs or if you want to go to like fancier restaurants or rooftops. But I will say on the general, Barcelona is a very relaxed city. It's very beach city. It's not very in France, I remember seeing people who are a lot more dressed up than in Barcelona and in London as well. So if you want to take those trips, maybe bring some more like business casual, like fun street clothing. But I will say I mostly wore like shorts and a tank top, and gym shoes. I will say very comfortable walking shoes. One thing I did not grab with me that I'm glad I didn't is a hair straightener or a curling iron because I feel like with the humidity, everything just changed anyways. And then a few things that I forgot was just like Tylenol. I feel like when you will get sick. It will probably happen. And when you get sick, your Spanish kind of is in the back of your head. And when you go to the pharmacy, it's a little bit hard to communicate, that kind of stuff. So I will say, just remember like any medicine that you need to bring, Tylenol, like Advil, cold and sinus, stuff like that. And then one more thing that I think I forgot to bring is I brought some high heels, but not comfortable high heels. Um, I know that's probably not the most important thing, but stuff like that. So like just I feel like I overpacked, but I felt like everything I needed I was able to buy, I was able to get there's a big supermarket nearby. Um, there's a mall somewhere there. I didn't quite go shopping as much as I thought I would be, but yeah, I feel pretty good about the amount I packed.
yeah, I would pretty much say the same thing. I don't know the if this was mentioned earlier in the Zoom, but a big thing people said when I was applying was like pack light, make sure you pack light. Like that was a pretty common thing. Honestly, I didn't really understand why that for me I didn't have to worry about that. Like maybe if there were some really, really excessive packers out there, maybe that message is good to internalize. But like the closet was pretty big. I definitely packed lighter and I was like, dang, I could have brought like way more stuff. So I personally wouldn't worry about that. Bring your own hangers. They supply you with like 4 or 5 hangers. So definitely want to want to bring your own. They also sell them there. So if you were gonna
Yeah,
say something.
they sell them in the supermarket, like right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, so I brought like a ton in my suitcase. It's kind of awkward because they're so stiff, so maybe just buy them there. But yeah, I with the note about the Tylenol, my goal was sort of when I got sick to not have to leave my room to have everything there, which I think I ended up doing, which was great. So I think just being proactive, especially in a foreign country, it's just it's just nice to do. So then you're not, because in Evanston, if something goes wrong for whatever reason, you underprepare in whatever area, you're like, oh, whatever, I'll just go to that place, whatever. It's really familiar. But yeah, I think just some preparation is nice for those types of situations.
All right, we've got time for one more question if you all have it, or if you, Sophie or Liam, want to pop in with any question or any final thoughts.
I will say one thing. Before you go, definitely do your research on events that are happening. So I know there were a lot of like Barcelona specific events that were happening, like the Human Towers that they're really cool. But I did not do research on that before. So I would have like scheduled that in had I known. And then also there's a bunch of concerts that are always happening. So I will say like Liam and I almost went to Taiga, which was it would have been cool, but next year.
Every summer there's a time.
Every summer, I've heard every summer somebody tries to go to Taiga and it doesn't happen. But um, I would say do your research on, any artists you want to see, any performances. The art scene is very big and the music scene is huge. You can't go anywhere without music. So I will say that's like my main plug for Barcelona.
Yeah, I think two things come to mind just sort of in closing. Definitely kind of like I mentioned earlier, if you end up getting in and you're on the fence, definitely do it because something might be helpful to think about is 10, 20 years from now, would you have rather spent a summer in Barcelona or done an internship? I think Barcelona is probably something it's the right decision. Like, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. And the other thing was, oh, in terms of the classes, I had a lot of friends there who were like super stressed about getting a good grade because there are a lot of people on like pre-law or pre-med track. I would try your best to focus on learning over the grades, because as Northwestern students, most of us probably got here by obsessing over grades. But that really would just detract from it. So I think just really taking in the experience. And if you're worried about grades, just being present in the moment, going around town, all that stuff will give you the knowledge to um, succeed in that area.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming. My final plug is if you're interested, submit your application by February 1st. If you want to meet with somebody in my office, you can schedule an appointment with my colleague Carmen. She's also available to answer any questions you have via email. And so are Elisa and I, and Sophie and Liam put their contact info in the chat so you can reach out to them as well. Yeah, so thank you all for joining. Thank you both for coming and being such good representatives of the program. Yeah, thank you all.
Thank